please don't start the slideshow just yet. That's my horror that the slideshow just starts without me noticing it with that. I want to say thanks for the invitation. Actually I was a PechaKucha organizer myself not long ago in Germany, and when I came here to visit Indonesia in 2009, I was one of the people that started PechaKucha here with the Maverick crew, and it's just very, very exciting to see that it's still going on today, 5 years later. There's still PechaKucha nights going on at the same place, and thanks to Maverick for making that happen. Now it happened. Stop! Please go back again. Otherwise it all falls apart. Can we? Operations? Thanks. Okay, Goethe-Institut. We're a German non-profit organization with offices all over the world. We've been in Jakarta for over 50 years now. And our mission here is to be this entry point for people who are crazy enough to attempt to learn the German language. And we see ourselves as agent in facilitating exchange between the cultures of Indonesia and Germany and whatever other country we're present in. So our idea, I can actually go forward now. Our idea of culture basically goes on this hypothesis that on one hand we need to preserve cultural heritages of every individual culture that exists, but mixing and sharing culture is as equally important, if not more important. And this mixing and sharing is what this presentation is about. And while mixing sounds like making everything sound the same, we invented this word hybridization of culture. And hybrid actually comes from a Latin word, and it was referring to the mixture of a domestic pig and a wild boar. And this was called an hybrida in Latin. And this in turn comes from the Greek word hybris, which means it's unnatural or something that goes beyond human nature. So actually hybrid has this negative connotation, and indeed in the animal kingdom, genetics don't really like hybrids. Hybrids in the sense of animals, of different species mixing is rare. There are a few examples, like a tiger and lion mix that exists. It's called a liger, and it exists in the form of a donkey and a horse, that's a mule. But real, true hybrids from different species, like a goat and a sheep, for example, that's so rare that there are only very few recorded cases. In fact, there was one such case in Botswana in the year 2000, and this became famous as the toast of Botswana. While genetics doesn't really like this idea of hybrids, culture is something entirely different. Culture is so much more fluid and adaptable, and culture really actually wants to meet other cultures and wants to interact with these other cultures. And this can take form, cultural exchange can take the form of an exchange of products. Indonesia and Germany like to exchange cars and palm oil, and I'm sure we learn a lot about each other through these products. But also culture is mostly immaterial. So cultural exchange takes place through individuals talking to each other, through the arts, through literature, through books, and through the internet, of course. With the internet, we practically have created ourselves a hybridization machine, which is capable of connecting individuals directly with each other and practically making boundaries more or less non-existent unless someone decides to create big boundaries to prevent certain cultural products from crossing borders, like in this case, which I'm sure you've encountered. So, cultural exchange has been going on long before the internet, and it's been carried mostly by individuals. In the case of Indonesia and Germany, there was a famous painter from Java called who lived in the 19th century. So back in the day his talent was big enough for him to be sent to Europe. And he made very many friends there in Dresden, in a town in Germany. And he made such good friends that the people there, like a couple called the Serras, they decided to build a little house commemorating their friendship in the shape of a mosque. And this little mosque can still be seen in Germany today as a form of a cultural habit that still exists. What you see here now is Nepenthes junghuni. It's a dried specimen of a plant named after a German explorer and botanist called Franz Junghun, who was traveling Indonesia and Java and Sumatra also at the same time as Raden Saleh was in Germany. And here you see a picture of Annemarie Schimmel, who is an Islam scholar visiting Indonesia, talking to Gus Dur. And as a lot of Indonesians know, it's not only do Germans come to Indonesia for studying Islam, but a lot of Indonesians travel to Germany to study technical subjects. And yeah, while our first trip abroad is always something very life-changing, right? So while we actually have access to it through the internet, going somewhere and experiencing your first snow for the first time makes you a different person. On my very last slides, I'm sorry, this has been quite hectic, hasn't it? I want to talk about some of the projects we do at Goethe-Institut, some of the stuff that I've been involved with that for me stands for this cultural hybridization. For example, in music. Combining the traditional heritage of Indonesia with gamelan, with the instruments of the gamelan, and combining that with German composition, that brings about true magic. It makes all the parts that are in the mix better, and it creates something entirely new. The same here with this example, which is difficult to see. It's a German silent movie interpreted by an Indonesian choir and orchestra. The same goes for dance. If you take dance traditions, which are really strong in Indonesia, and if you combine them with the ideas of European choreographers, or in this case, combine them not with European, but ideas from other Southeast Asian countries, you get something that makes all the parts in the equation something new and even better and more exciting than what you started out with. In this example, you see a scene from the film by Riri Riza, Atom 39 Degrees, and he once told me that his dream is to make a road movie with Wenders, who's a German director, and I think that would be a really cool idea, not for Riri, but for women, to get some new ideas about life elsewhere. And lastly, this is a collaboration between Uwe K. and Ras Muhammad, two reggae musicians, and I find this example the most funny and absurd, because these people meet through a third culture, Jamaican Rastafarism, and create a song that combines Indonesian and German lyrics to create a German-Indonesian reggae song. Okay, my very last slide. Thank you very much. Please check out our website. If you're interested in our cultural hybrid programs, connect with us through Facebook, Twitter, sign up for our newsletter, and do come to some of our events in the future. Thanks.